Hi, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I will also introduce myself a little bit in my talk, but let me share the presentation with you all. I'll share here in Zoom, which I'm very happy that you are using actually. Perfect. Okay, so today we're going to talk about innovation and innovation for a particular, just a minute. I'm sorry. I was not expecting this to ring, just a minute. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry, it was not expected. I was not expecting someone to drop by now. Perfect, but continue the presentation then. We're going to talk about innovation and innovation for acquiring and maintaining as well employees' trust. Our agenda for today, so I'm going to introduce myself a little bit, introduce the subject. We're going to talk about concepts, a bit about trust and how to earn trust, design experiences as well. Something that I love is to use design for everything related to recruiting, employer branding, a bit of how to build the identity of the company and how to measure also the success of maintaining the trust of your employees, and then Q&A. Introducing myself a little bit. So I'm Ays, I work at Zoom at the moment in global talent engagement. We call it talent engagement, but it's employer branding. There, I'm actually responsible for all the strategy and for all the activities related to employer branding for EMEA and APAC. I have around 12 years of experience in talent acquisition. I'm actually from Brazil, that's why Rio de Janeiro is here. But yeah, I'm from Brazil and I've been in the Netherlands for 4 years now. So I bring a little bit of the experience from the Latin America market. And then I came here to EMEA to explore a bit of the market here as well. Already worked in Uber, ThoughtWorks, Dell, and now Zoom. So as you can see, a lot of tech companies. Tech is something that I love and something that I bring a lot to my work as well. A lot of methodologies, a lot of different aspects of technology. I think they are very valuable to any areas of any company. So I bring here a little quote from a book that I love and I highly suggest everybody to read, The Speed of Trust. It's from Stephen Colvin and basically tells us a lot about how to build trust, right? How managers can also build trust in an organization, in team management as well. And something that is very true. There is one thing that is common to every individual, relationship, team, family, organization, nation, economy, and civilization throughout the world. One thing which, if removed, will destroy the most powerful government, the most successful business, the most thriving economy, the most influential leadership, the greatest friendship, the strongest character, the deepest love. That one thing is definitely trust. And we know that it's quite valuable for any relationship. So now we're going to talk a bit about concepts. I bring here the concepts of employer branding, what we do in employer branding, but also employee branding. Employee branding is kind of the mirror of your employer branding. And it's exactly what we need to work on to actually build the trust with our employees. So the employer branding, so focuses on recruitment, building a solid, strong brand reputation, right? It's the image that you want your applicants, your current employees to associate with you. So as we see, like Apple, we always associate with like very effective products, or Microsoft with different systems, with different, with tradition as well, set of standards that can make your brand be recognized in the labor market. So really what recognize your brand and a good brand. Everything that is before the offer stage, at least at Zoom, we consider employer branding and talent engagement is basically everything that is before the offer stage. Everything that we do to attract the right candidates, everything that we do to also make them stay. So the employee branding, it's everything that your employees, how they embody your core values and the messaging you want to transmit. The perception created by your employees and potential employees about the company as a workplace. So Glassdoor reviews, this kind of job boards need to be always careful, because that's going to be there, right? Everything that people feel and people experience inside of the company. More of the workplace experience you create for your employees and how this connects with the brand. And then the benefits and compensation philosophy that shape all the employee experience. Everything that is employee branding is related to that. And how do you build this trust then? Apart from the moment that you build your employee branding strategy, right? Your employer branding strategy as well. How do you build the trust? Basically, to start, always commitment, right? Always honor the commitments that you do. Even the smallest commitment that you have, it's very important to honor it and to be very transparent about it. And transparency is also something that is very important nowadays for companies to be considered, let's say, authentic as well. Nurture a communication that is transparent, sharing things about the company, not only financial aspects of the company, but also what is happening, why someone is leaving. At Zoom, I'll give an example that recently happened with us. We had someone from our C-level team leaving the company, and our leaders came forward and said, okay, this person is leaving because he or she is actually moving to a different stage of their careers, and this is happening because of this, this, and that. That's transparency. That's really sharing everything that you are seeing, right? And in a very honest way, so people can understand what's happening on the backstage, basically. The visibility as well, make the values and the mission of the company part of the selected process, but also part of the whole culture, right? Something that people can embody, can easily explain as well. I think that's super important. If you don't have values and a mission that is easy to be explained, it's tough to, to incorporate that and for people to understand that from the moment that they enter in your selected process to the moment that they are leaving the company even. It's important that everything that you say in your culture, in the people experience, is very visible and also can be translated to how people incorporate, how people represent the company. So the trust in the workplace basically is also that people feel safe, right? A psychological safety, respect to be who they are. ERGs, employee resource groups, are there to also influence that. We have in the company a lot of different ERGs, so specific groups, right? Diversity groups, minority groups, that reinforce the talk about that specific subject and reinforce the opportunities for these people as well in the selective process. So that's super important, and people feel safe there to share things about, oh, I'm thinking about moving to a different career, I might apply for this role, what do you think? And it's very interesting. I'm an example, like I'm from Somos, one of our ERGs. It's a Latinx ERG for everybody who is from Latin America or consider themselves Latinos, Latinas. And it's very interesting because there we have like open discussions about career, about growth, about how you can actually, design your career as well, and how you can actually use the help of our managers for that. So that's really interesting. And that also promotes the psychological safety that we talk about. Another book, another writer and speaker that I love is Simon Sinek. Everybody knows him. And he talks about trust a lot. And he talks also about team management, which is all about trust, and management in itself is what promotes trust in companies. So a team is not a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. And that's very, very important. And that can only be obtained as well with quality of communication, mentorship programs. It's super important to have this opportunity. Also to, we call it retain talent. I don't like the word retain, but it's okay. But we need to keep people happy in the company, right? Mentorship programs, they can actually nurture leadership skills. And that's really important as well. People can actually develop themselves as leaders while helping other people, right? Other employees, and really makes them feel valuable and feel that they matter for the company. So it's really interesting how that affects trust. Acting on feedback as well. It doesn't matter if you receive a lot of feedback, if you do like a company survey, you understand that, oh, we need to improve actually our management training for sales. Yeah, but you need to do something about it as well, right? So it needs to actually act upon the feedback that you receive and really be humble. And that's another point, humility, to understand that sometimes we make mistakes, right? Any corporation makes mistakes. We are open for that, and it's part of the job to make mistakes and learn from it. So also have the humility to understand, okay, I made a mistake here. We need to change this. We need to change this process. That's super important. And micromanagement, particularly, it's one of the things that I think really makes companies go, behind comparing to other companies, and really makes also the process in itself and the agility of solving problems very difficult. So no micromanagement. Trust is all about trusting people to do their best, trust people to make it happen, and give them autonomy to actually explore their creativity, explore how they can, build amazing teams, or how they can actually drive their careers forward. So that's super important. And that's how innovation can drive a lot of these initiatives for you to keep the trust of your employees. I give here some examples of techniques that we can use to actually bring more of the aspect of retaining people or keeping the talent that you want, but also most importantly, providing them good experience as employees in the company. Services design is super well used for building products and driving customer experiences. And if you think about your employees as customers, it's easier for you to also drive innovation. So building a blueprint, for example, is a technique where you can track all the communication from a customer, candidate, or the employee in connection with HR or recruiting process. So if you basically have a challenge of hiring engineers, which we all have in all companies right now, you need to hire actually women engineers. It's really interesting to actually drive this technique, understand where are the points that this candidate or this person is actually in touch with us during the selective process, during their onboarding. How is the process in itself? Where are the points of communications? And then you can actually visualize the bottleneck, understand where you need to actually make it better, where you need to improve. And that's super, super interesting. I use it for recruiting many times in my career. We use the way for employer branding at Zoom. It's interesting because you really understand everything that is being done, all the process. You can literally see it in a board and really see also where you can improve, where are the parts that need to also be changed or tweaked, right? And where it's really also successful. That's the process that you can see as well, if you're being successful or not. In design thinking, it's also something that we use a lot for building EVPs, for example. That's something that we are using right now at Zoom. We are building the personas for each of the areas of the business. So engineering, we are building personas in marketing, in data science, everywhere. And these personas, they basically are helping us create and maintain the EVP that we are building. And not only us, but also recruiting is benefited by this. Recruiting will definitely be using, to understand who to source and how to source these people. So that's something that also is very interesting for us. Inception is a different concept. Inception is more part of agile methodologies, and that's bringing a little bit back of what I said, that I love to use things from technology in recruiting, in employer branding. Inception is how you ideate, how you create the product, right? How you visualize who is going to be using this product. And it's basically part of project management, right? So you get together with the team in a room. People used to call it war rooms, where you just create everything there. I don't think this is a good concept of like war room, but it's interesting to just bring people together in a place, bring a lot of post-its, and there you're gonna basically create, ideate, right? Draft the process of the project you want to be developing. That can be for the EVP of a company. That can be for selective process. That can be, as I used it in the past, I use it for headcount planning, actually. We got together, we created who was the person we wanted to hire for tech. How are we going to find this person? What is nice to have in terms of profile, but also what is nice to have in terms of process? Do we want a coding challenge for this person? Do we want whiteboarding? You know, that's all about the process of creation of something, and is literally an inception into the problem. You bring the problem and you solve it in that room. So that's the idea. Usually it lasts one day, or it can last like 1 week. It depends on how big is the problem or the project you're building or the product. So it's really interesting, and I highly recommend people to understand how it's done and how Agile can be incorporated in everyday tasks as well. And then more into brand ambassadors to keep people engaged, right? It's really investing in a program where you select a group of people. Usually these people, they are very talkative or not, depending on the company, depending on the area you're building this. And they bring a different vision, basically. They will be the speakers of the company. They will be like the spokesperson, right? That we say. They are good usually they are very good into talking. They understand the values, they understand the culture, they participate in events, they are already in the community, and these are the people that you want to keep in the company, obviously. And you also want to provide them the opportunity of investing in these side tasks of participating in events, of representing the company. So it's nice to build a program where you can include these people, and they can be the representatives of the company. This really makes them happy. I already build this like sometimes. Makes people really happy to be just there representing the company, being part of, they feel as if they are part of HR or they are part of marketing, which is funny. But it's nice because they also feel very valid, you know, and very included. So that's nice. As I mentioned before, mentors and partners. So create opportunities for people to be in the decision-making projects, right? And also be managing people, teaching people. That's always very interesting. When you teach someone, you also learn a lot. So it's interesting to build a program where you have mentors inside of your company, and they will be feeling more valued and increase in kind of consequently increases the trust as well. The identity of the company, it's super important to build the trust. So as I said, clear values, clear mission. If you don't have that, or if you want to change that, that's not a problem, as long as you also communicate that in a very clear way. So communication is always part of any strategy, needs to be part of everything. So really communicate things in a transparent way. Build clear mission of the company. What do you want to achieve? What are the future goals of the company? The values that you really believe that people need to have to be part of that company. And this also creates the psychological safety that we talked about, which is basically feeling comfortable to talk with people, feeling comfortable to share something, even personal, with colleagues, with your leader. It's very important, and we sometimes overlook that. Now we also talk a lot about well-being, and it's very good that we are talking about that. It's always been there, right? Burnout and all of that, but we always kind of try to minimize the conversations about it or not give too much attention. And now we are really understanding that it's super valid and it's super important to keep people engaged and trust their employees to do the best for them. So that's really important. And the management side as well. So if you're going to build the identity of the company, think about the management. Who you're hiring as managers. Are these people prepared to be managers? Are these people prepared to have tough conversations? And tough conversations can be about performance, but it can also be about something more personal of someone that you want to share. So are these people prepared to listen to employees and really understand what they are going through and nurture this trust that they are the people that can listen to them and do something about it? That's also quite important for us to be mindful. And how do you measure, right, the trust of your employees nowadays? At Zoom, we are using Glint, which is a survey. It's an internal survey to understand how is the view of the employees over management, culture, work style, and performance. What people are basically thinking about us, right? How they're viewing the people experience team, how they're viewing employer branding, what they think needs to be changed, what they think needs to keep like that. We use that survey, we act upon the feedback. That's what I always said. It's useful search, amazing, awesome, let's do it, but also needs to be a feedback that we are acting upon that. We are actually making it happen. So yeah, super important. Glassdoor as well. Sometimes we overlook that. It's not possible anymore. We need to always be mindful of the reviews that we are getting there. We know that sometimes people are reviewing the company there, and sometimes it's someone that didn't pass the process and they are a bit hurt, but it's always important to read, because sometimes you find things, for example, oh, a recruiter didn't treat me that well, a recruiter didn't interview me that well, an employee didn't interview me that well. And then you think, okay, so what's happening with that employee that is not treating candidates very well? Are they happy in their job? That's something that we need to ask ourselves as well. There's not only Glassdoor, but I'm not sure if you have ever heard about Blind, which is a website also that people can leave their reviews there anonymously, and talks about all companies in the world. So it's really interesting to check it out. You can see the reviews. You don't know, obviously, who is the person, where they're from, but you can definitely see and have a feeling of what people are talking about your brand, what people are talking about the company. And count as well. Attrition and referrals are great indicators of what's happening in the company, right? So really evaluate the number of employees leaving the company, and especially if they're leaving from a specific area, then you need to think, okay, so what's happening there in management? So there is a trust issue there. People are not trusting that manager. Why? And then investigate a little bit more. Referrals as well. If people are not referring enough, it's because they're not trusting enough. I'm going to refer only people that I really feel to a company, right? I'm going to refer my friends if I know that the company is actually honoring what they're talking about. If I know that, you know, it's really being, the feedbacks I'm giving are really being used and everything like that. So it's really important to also check how many referrals we are receiving, right? And from which areas and all of that. It's important to just keep yourself in check for that. So listen to people, right? View what they are saying and count also your numbers. What's happening there? You can definitely see how is the situation for you and the success of your initiatives as well. And now we go for Q&A. I know that I run it a little bit, but
it's okay. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. We have actually a couple of questions from online, but again, I will ask the room. Oh, anyway, I have a feeling some people from the room are asking questions in the application directly. Oh, awesome. So, okay, so let me formulate the questions then. How employee experience has changed during the pandemic, and especially in the context of remote work, and what's the impact on how we approach employer branding?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And indeed changed everything. Changed everything. At least for Zoom, we created a different work styles, right? So now people can work from anywhere. They can choose actually if they want to be hybrid, if they want to work remotely, if they want to just go to the office sometimes. So that's something that I think is for everybody, and all the companies should be thinking about that all the time right now. How my employees are working and how they see these new work styles, right? Do a survey, do something that can actually tell you what is your population thinking about, what they are viewing as the future of work, right? But indeed, for us at Zoom, I can share with you that, well, it was the boom first of the of the pandemic. It was good in a way for us because the company was already known by some companies, by our customers. We already had a very nice pool of customers, but not as we have right now. And indeed was very remarkable the way that we had to change. We had to rethink how we approach employer branding, how we approach the ways we are keeping our people as well. And one of the techniques that we used actually was the personas. And it's something that I'm working right now, which is really to understand each of the areas of the company and understand who are these people that we are hiring and who are these people that we want to hire in the future, right? How can we attract them and how can we help recruiting and talent engagement in the best way possible, right? But that's for sure something that has changed a lot. And I think especially for technology, which is an area that is all the time changing. We know that every week is something different, is a new feature, is a new change in the market as well. And we need to be following these changes all the time as well to be up to date and to also help people feel included in our company, feel included in the market that we have right now.
And how important do you think flexibility, remote working will be in the employee offering, long term, let's say, because now we are still in the pandemic somehow. Maybe we don't have the same feeling as 2 years ago, but we are still there.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we are still in the pandemic, but we forget easily. Yeah. I think that changes everything. It's already changing, right? If a company is not open to have remote workers, especially for technology, it changes a lot the attraction. We do see a decrease in number of applicants of inbound recruiting. We do see that people are actually looking for only remote jobs. Actually, they are interested in that. They came from like 2 years of working from home, where you have flexibility to go to the gym, to take care of your kids, to cook what you need in your own house. And then you go for, oh, I need to go to the office every day. I need to commute, depending on the region. Oh, I need to commute like 2 hours to work. So it's really something that I think it's game changing for sure for all companies right now. If you're not open to remote work, you're not open to the future of work. I feel that right now we need to be mindful of that in any aspect of employer branding. Really be thinking, okay, so now it's a different style. People are thinking a different way, and we need to be following this trend, basically. And I hope all the companies think about that, right? And really think that the traditional way is no longer the best way to go forward.
Great. And one more question from our participants. How often do you measure the view of your employees, and usually what are the next steps after such a survey?
Awesome. Yeah, we measure every quarter. So every quarter we launch this campaign. It's the Glint campaign that I mentioned. So we use this tool to actually make the survey, and through this tool we also get the reports and understand how are the view of everybody. It's basically an NPS, right, research that we use it for customers, and it's the same for employees. The only thing is that the questions will be more tailored for employees. And then we actually measure every quarter, and we share those results with the whole company as well in the all hands meeting. Obviously, we don't share like in details, but we share all the areas that we see that needs improvement and all the areas that we see are very successful, that we can keep the work as it is being done. So it is something that we do every quarter. And I think is the best methodology, actually, doing every quarter. You have also a sense of how or even the new hires, what they are thinking about your company during these 3 first months. That's also very important to retain the talent, right? And to keep the trust of everybody. How are the new employees also thinking about the company, the management side? They also answer a different survey on the 3 months anniversary to understand if it was a qualified hiring, as we say, and also if they are happy what they're doing.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing your practices. Nice having you here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.